Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be testing out some new makeup, new to me makeup. None of this is new to the market. In fact, a lot of it is discontinued now, which is why I decided to just kind of gather all those items that I haven't tried yet and put them in one video since most of them you can't get any longer. We're gonna be trying the Bite, R-E-P, Bite Beauty, the Changemaker foundation. I have the Hello Fab Bendy Avocado concealer, so that's been out for a while. This UOMA Beauty. I have the Kevyn Nude Pop eyeshadow palette. This is also discontinued, and we're just gonna test it out. I'm gonna talk about myself, and I haven't written a script, so it's a little bit lengthy. It's a little all over the place. I'm still learning how to maybe structure my videos a little bit more. I've already filmed that part. Of course, this is the final look. So I apologize in advance for some of my ramblings. If you can get through it, if you don't, click off, I guess. And with that being said, we'll just jump into the footage of me applying the makeup and telling you a little bit more about myself. All right, so I've already taken my glasses on. We're nice and zoomed in. I've never been this close before. You can see all my blemishes, but that's okay. If I don't mention anything that I'm using, it will be listed down in the description box, but all these products are new to me, and they're just kind of random ones that aren't very new, so I figured might as well put them all in a video while I talk just about myself. This is the Urban Decay All-Nighter Primer. This is just a little mini travel one. Haven't tried this, but I've heard really good things about it, so wanted to give it a shot. And then the foundation we're gonna use is the Bite Beauty Changemaker. I have the shade L40. It's a little bit dark for me when I swatched it, but I did self-tan, so I think it'll match my body. Since Bite Beauty announced they're going out of business, I figured probably just throw this in this video. Not gonna do a whole foundation review on it if you can't get it. But I guess let's just start telling you a little bit about myself without making this a very long video. So I think I mentioned this before, it's in all my description boxes, but I'm 32. I currently live in Europe. I'm a French American, so I have dual citizenship. My mom is French, my dad is American. My mom is, she moved to America by herself when she was in her 20s, met my dad, and that's how the story goes. My first language was French because my mom didn't speak English very well when she came over here. She didn't speak any English, so naturally she spoke French to me as a child, and then as she just started learning English, she started speaking more English to me. It's just, I think it's a little bit easier to practice with a child. They don't tend to judge you because they don't know that you're speaking incorrectly. So that's why I don't have a French accent. And my French is not great because since then we've really only spoken English. I can understand French completely and fully, with exceptions. I mean, if you're speaking too fast, that makes it a little bit more difficult, but I'm good enough where I could be by myself and, live an everyday life if I needed to. My grammar's just not very great all the time. French has quite a bit of rules, and, I tend to parrot. I noticed about me, I learn by listening and repeating. So it just takes some time. It takes some time. And mostly I'm just a very introverted person, so I can be a little bit shy being around people. And that's my biggest piece of advice if trying to learn a new language. You just can't be shy. You have to make mistakes in order to learn. I don't know how many people will understand this, but this is one of my funniest French blunders. I was at the airport and I needed to take a taxi to the train station so I could take the train station to my mom's city. She lives in a very, very small city. I'm not going to say the name, but there's less than 100 people that live in this. So it's not really a city, it's a village. And so I get in the taxi and I asked the taxi driver, oh, j'ai besoin d'aller à la gare. And he starts laughing at me. And I'm like, what is so funny? And he's like, oh, you just asked to go to war, because guerre in French, again, like my American accent's coming through, it means war, and gare means train station. I always get those two mixed up, guerre and gare. So he just was like laughing, like, oh, you're asking me to go to war. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, great. I'm just like getting in the taxi. I'm like, let's go to war. Like, no, I'm trying to go to the train station. But you can't be afraid to make mistakes like that. And you have to just learn to laugh at yourself a little bit. It can be a little bit tough. I actually, when I'm not around my mom, my French is just better because I don't rely on her to speak French for me. And this is the Hello Fab Bendy Avocado Concealer. So this is pretty old, but I never got to try it. And I always hear people raving about it. So that's why we're trying it today. This is the shade 2. Anyways, so I primarily grew up in Arizona. When I was 16, my mom decided she wanted my siblings and I, so I have 4 siblings. One of them goes by he, they. I have 2 that go by he, him, and then 1 that goes by she, her. So she wanted all of us to go back to France. She wanted a farm. My mom's always wanted a farm. She's very just mother of the earth kind of person, and she wanted us to know our family here, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles. You know, I had seen them before, but really they didn't visit too much. And so we did that. And I'm the oldest, so being 16, it was very difficult for me. I had a very hard time in school. I could do an entire video on just the differences between the American education system and the French education system. It's fascinating to me, but I don't know how many people are fascinated by it, just like differences in culture. So I went into my junior year, and it was not a good time for me. I've always really liked school, even as a kid. And it was the first time I felt like I didn't like it, and I hated it. I didn't feel smart because I didn't speak French, and it really has an impact, just teachers on you, because in France, you're not taking English class where like you study English literature. There you're taking French classes and you're studying French literature. So as someone who had like very amateur French speaking skills at the time, it was very hard for me. And I remember the first day of class, after class, I went to the French teacher and I told him, hey, here's my situation. If there's anything extra I can do, please feel free to give me anything extra so I can practice at home. I'm committed to doing this. And he basically told me to F off. And then the first week we had a test and he just completely passed my desk. He didn't even put the test on my desk because he knew that I wouldn't be able to do it. And that obviously hurt my self-esteem. And, on the flip side, I had a earth science teacher, and earth science is my least favorite subject. I don't like geology. I really like physics. I really like chemistry. And my earth science teacher, she would take the time to find websites that were translated into English. I still had to take the test in French. I still had to do all my homework in French, show my work in French, but just so I could understand the material, she would find the material in English for me, and I would get better grades than other kids in the class. And she would, be scolding everyone, look at this American girl, she's doing better than you, and she doesn't even speak French, guys, so what's going on? I'm going to use this UOMA Beauty before I powder. It's the Sculpt and Highlight in Fair Lady. It looks like actually still really dark, so I'm going to take it on this brush here, and we're going to go slow because I'm kind of nervous. But, it just shows how much of a difference teachers can make in your life. And I'm really thankful for her. I, after that year, convinced my mom to let me finish school online, American school, because I knew I wouldn't be able to finish high school there. And I was getting bullied quite a bit from French kids. They ostracized me. I didn't have a good experience with kids in school, and that's, you know, that's okay. I don't, you know, it is what it is. Just, it is, especially in a small town, you know, people can be a little bit more closed-minded, and, you know, I can't dwell on it. But luckily my mom did let me do online school for my senior year, so I was able to get an American diploma. I actually had to redo my junior year because they didn't recognize my French education for junior year. France doesn't go by credits, so I had to redo those credits, and which is fine, but I eventually got my high school diploma. And then once I turned 18, I was like, yeah, I'm out of here. Like, France is not for me. France is, you know, I don't want to be like that farmer city, like that farmer girl. And I left. I went back to Arizona. My parents are divorced. I don't know if I mentioned that, but my dad has quite a bit of personal issues. He's on and off homeless, and him and I don't speak. But so I just say that with, like, you know, I really went back to Arizona with no plan. And I was, you know, 18, never had a job before, and was trying to make it work. I stayed for about a year before I was just like, yeah, I can't pay rent. I can't eat. Like, I need to go back to France. So I went back, but the same problems persisted. I didn't like it, and it wasn't really a life I could see for myself. So in order to make enough money to go back to Arizona, I became an au pair for about 8 months, and that was a really awesome experience. It was a really nice family on Aix-en-Provence. We don't really keep in touch too much, but we're on good terms. Like, I'm sure if I just called her up, like, she would be more than happy to see me. That's one of the trippiest things I think about getting older, is my age never really bothers me, but when I see the kids I used to watch, because I've been a nanny and stuff for quite a few families, just seeing them, you know, turn 16 and start to drive, or like graduate high school, I'm like, that's when my age hits me. I'm like, how did that happen? Like, you were 2 years old when I watched you. But anyways, that was a really cool experience. Like I said, it was in Aix-en-Provence. They owned a vineyard. They have really amazing wine. Their wine earns medals all around France. So that was really cool. I was 19 at the time, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to go back to Arizona, give this a shot. Hopefully I'm not so poor this time. I'm gonna try the Jouer powder in, which one is this? This is in Light. I'm a little bit nervous because I know this is like a heavier powder, but we're gonna use just like a really light brush to just kind of sweep over everything and set it. Ooh, dropped it. So yeah, I finally got enough money to go back, and I was back there until I was 28. So I was there for almost 10 years. And during those 10 years, I worked retail. I got my very first job. I actually got it the first time I went back to Arizona, and then I left. And then when I came back, I was rehired. So I don't want to say the name, just so it doesn't, like, because you could probably figure out who I was. But I got my first job there, and I stuck around for almost 10 years. I'm pretty proud of myself. Like, I worked my way up, and for not having just a college education, I could not afford that. And it was, you know, it taught me a lot. I can't really say it was the greatest experience. There's a reason why I left it. I could do a whole video on that if I decide to, like, divulge the company. It's a pretty big retail store. It's very similar to Zara. I guess that's all I'll say. Not that a lot of people watch these videos, but I just don't, I'm not there yet. It's not really like a secret. Okay, I powdered and then forgot I was gonna use this blush, this cream blush. This is the e.l.f. Putty blush, and I believe this is the shade Turks and Caicos. So hopefully this doesn't do anything weird on top of the powder. But yeah, I worked there for 10 years. I worked really, really fucking hard. And I moved up pretty quickly. And it was a time. I met some of my very, very best friends there, and I can't say that I regret it. I just have to say that I wish I didn't make some of the same mistakes that I had made. But you live and learn. And yeah, where does that bring us? I guess onto the more exciting part. When I was 24, 25 is when I met my current boyfriend. So him and I have been together almost 8 years. We met online and we started just talking about, you know, leaving. He had done a lot of traveling and lived in different countries, and, you know, he knew my background, and we were kind of just on the same page that maybe America wasn't the place for us. And I feel like I'm just saying less than I'm actually giving away. I don't want to go too much into like a whole debate on why we thought that, but we'd been talking about that for a while. And my grandpa got very sick. He didn't get very sick. He started declining faster than was expected. And so, you know, I hadn't been back to France in such a long time. Anyone who works in America knows it's very hard to get time off. I even had to I had the paid vacation, and I even had to tell my manager or my boss where I had to get approval, like, I'm taking 2 weeks off. Like, I have the paid vacation, because she didn't want me to. She wanted me to take, I think, a week. And I was like, I'm not going to France for a week. Like, that's just not happening. And sorry, I'm just thinking of how just insane that whole thing was, because she had taken a lot of time off, especially that year. And so eventually she let me go for 2 weeks. And I got there, and he just, you know, I've been having these conversations with my boyfriend, and, you know, we just decided, like, if we're going to do this, like, we're going to do this. Like, let's just leave America. He has been to Spain. He really loves Spain. I've never been to Spain. And so we were like, let's move to Spain. I'm not someone who particularly cares where I live. I don't want to live someplace cold. As long as it's not cold, I don't really care. I just care more about having a stable home. And so he works for himself, and he just, you know, he can work wherever. So he ended up leaving Arizona. We put all of our shit in a storage container, and we just decided to stay. I quit my job, and that's where we've been since. There's been a lot of just traveling. I feel like I over-highlighted everywhere because I was more talking than paying attention. Just kind of powder a little bit more. Just gonna do that right here. And then kind of on my forehead. So as I mentioned, the end goal was always Spain. However, just with his work and stuff, we needed to go to the Philippines. So we ended up going to the Philippines, and originally we were only gonna go for about 3 months or so. So that was the plan anyways. It turned into 2 years for just various reasons, not necessarily work related, just needing to stay there. And, you know, Philippines wasn't bad. I can't say I didn't do like a lot of traveling. You know, I was in Manila, so there wasn't a lot of, I'm going to try this Kevyn Nude Pop. This is discontinued. I'm fairly positive, so that's why we're going to throw it in this video. And I wish I had done just so much more traveling. There's just so many beautiful natural places in the Philippines, and I didn't get to see that. And that is a big regret of mine, but I do know like how the Philippines works now, and I feel confident that if I was to go back there to actually do some visiting, like I would do pretty well, and that's definitely something that we'll be planning on doing. I'm not the best person with eyeshadow, so we're gonna try our best. I'm gonna just show you kind of what this looks like without showing you the mirror. It's a really pretty like cool tone purple story, so right up my alley. It matches my sweatshirt, all about it. But I'm not gonna go over each shade that I'm using. We're gonna kind of just keep on talking here and we're not going to do anything groundbreaking. But yeah, I did really like the Philippines. It was good for some, and like it was during just a rough period of our life. So there were good parts and there were bad parts, but the Philippines was beautiful. I would recommend anyone go there. It's just a really great place to just see different people. The people there are so nice. I learned a lot being there and I did really like it. So afterwards, we finally were like, okay, so we're done with the Philippines. We now need to go to Cyprus. And Cyprus is an island. It's underneath Turkey and next to Israel. So you can take, I think, a ferry to Israel. It takes about 45 minutes to do that. And Cyprus is considered a Greek island. Most of the culture there is Greek. However, it's a very, very small island, but they're one of the biggest places for the type of work that my boyfriend does. So we decided that we were gonna go there, again, for work reasons. And when we got there, it was January of 2020. So as you can imagine, we got stuck there. God, I keep having to like pause the video. So sorry if you keep seeing cuts because my face is really itchy. I don't know if I have like a hair or if something is just not agreeing with me. I'm gonna wait it out. I'm sorry for the jump cuts in advance. I know it's not gonna be great because I keep having to stop to itch my face. Anyways, we went to Cyprus. Again, the goal was a couple of months and then we would be Spain bound. But once again, a few months turned into 2 years because COVID hit. Are we allowed to say that now? Is that like still a word you can say or not say? And there were no flights. So we physically could not get out. And my boyfriend does have immunity issues. He has quite a bit of health problems. So once flights did start again, we didn't want to necessarily fly right away until we felt it was a little bit safer. But I do have to say, Cyprus is beautiful. If it's often, I feel, overlooked by Americans, every single person we would get food at would be like, oh, you're American and you know what Cyprus is? Like, how is that possible? Because a lot of people don't even know that Cyprus is a country. And yeah, I could see that. I could see why that's a thing because it's so small. A lot of Europeans go there. They have some of the most beautiful beaches in the world. And it was I'm so like grateful that while COVID was absolutely horrific, I was able to just see this beautiful island with no people around. So they're an island, they have 1 million, their population is 1 million people, and they get over 1 million people in tourists every year. So they're getting more people coming to visit them during the summer than people even live there. And their beaches just get packed. And to have just beaches that are world renowned and have them be completely empty is just a whole other experience to be able to see. Over the Philippines, I'd highly just recommend Cyprus. Most people speak English there, even though they're a Greek island. They get a lot of UK tourists, so most people speak English. And yeah, it's an amazing place. I just could not live there. They're a little bit behind in just technology. So, it's very hard to find a menu for a restaurant on the internet. So you can't really look at a menu beforehand. They don't have Amazon. You have to order from a different Amazon, like a French or Germany or wherever, have them shipped to you. So it's very difficult to get things. And you can kind of get island fever after a while. But it was really nice to be there and I'll absolutely be going back. Just gonna apply this to my lid. And then that brings us to close to now. I came back to France. We're just inching our way closer and closer to Spain. One day, hopefully we'll get there. But we decided to come back to France and, be with my mom a little bit, just spend some more time with family until we could go to Spain. And that's where I've been. I've mentioned this before, but my mom has an Airbnb that she rents out. So that's what we're renting that from her. So I don't feel like I'm living with my parents too much. And that's where I've been. I think I've been here, I got here like around September of 2021. And yeah, it's been good. It's just so peaceful here. It's so green now and just lovely. Winters can be a little bit brutal because there's no heat here. You have to use a fireplace or an electric heater. So that can be a little bit tough, especially for someone who just is used to the heat. You know, Cyprus is hot, Arizona is hot, Philippines is hot. And I enjoy the heat, but you know, we got through it and now we're just in perfect weather. It's already over 100 degrees right now in Arizona. And right now it's, you know, just hitting like 83. So it's just perfect. The amount of times I take naps in a hammock, I can't even tell you. So it's been really nice. And then eventually we're hoping officially that this summer we will go to Spain and start our life there. It's been a long time coming. And I'm very excited. Like I said, I've never been one. I don't really have too much of a preference of where I lived. I could have lived in the Philippines, but I wouldn't, you know, I have somewhat of a preference. I just want a stable home. We've been living just out of a suitcase for 4 years. Like I said, you know, in the Philippines and in Cyprus, our intention was to never stay that long. So we never really got a place to rent that long. We would get a place to rent for, you know, a week or two, and then we'd have to move and leave. And so we were never able to really have a home base in any of those places. And it made it very difficult to just get roots and have a community. And I'm an earth sign, so that's just something that I really, really like, and I'm looking forward to eventually that happening. So we'll see. I'm optimistic. And then just a side note, I mean, the foundation's still a little bit darker than my neck. I think the shadow's not gonna show it great. It's still a little bit darker, but it's okay. My mom's the only one who's gonna see me. I am going to do liner, mascara, and brows off of camera, and then we'll be back to do lips, and I will keep talking. All right, I'm back. I have brows, mascara, liner on. I am not skilled enough to do that on camera yet. So the last thing we're gonna do is this YSL lipstick. This is one of the oil-in sticks, so it's a little bit more sheer, and I have the color 9, which is Nude Sheer. So, and then, I mean, well, we'll do final thoughts after. So, yeah, I mean, again, this has just kind of been a little bit of my journey. It smells like Jolly Rancher, and I'm here for it. So, I did go to Arizona. I like this. It's like chapstick. It's glossy, it's sheer. It's like a little something without being too much. I am gonna zoom this out first and then we'll keep talking. That's a little bit better. I'm a little bit more comfortable. Now you can see all my hand movements. So yeah, I mean, that's where we've been, and that's my journey so far. I did mention this, but I did go to Arizona for 2 months in March. Originally, I was only supposed to go for the month of March for my friend's wedding, and I got there, and just, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, when we moved overseas, we threw everything in storage. We really didn't actually, we didn't even do it. My brother did it. We were already in the Philippines, and we just paid my brother to pack everything up and throw it in. So he didn't really, he didn't give a shit. He just put it all in there just like we asked him to. And so I got there, I'm like looking at storage, and we just decided, it was something we had talked about quite often. The only ties that we really have in Arizona other than family is these storage units. And why? You know, the thought was at first that we were gonna get a container, bring those over to Spain, but like 4 years had gone by. So like, how much of those clothes, shoes, just all that stuff, like how much of it did I actually really want? You know, we had a couch, a bed, like at that point they've been sitting in there, and we just really had to ask ourselves, just, we're gonna wanna buy new stuff. Like we don't want this old stuff that's been sitting in storage for 4 years, and it's older than that. So we made the decision. My boyfriend was still in Cyprus. He was not in France with me, and that's because of some visa issues. But so he came to Arizona and we cleared it all out, and we sold everything. We spent the entire month doing that. I wish I could say we finished, but a month was not even enough time. My sister is still selling clothes and makeup for me. She is doing an amazing job at that. We're not doing anything about the hair, by the way. I'm seeing it in the monitor, and it's gonna be this little bun. I'm in my sweatshirt, so it's gonna be kind of like just a glam day. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. So yeah, I think I mentioned I was just so busy, and that was, I mean, I really didn't get to see as many people as I wanted. I don't have very many friends, and I don't say that for like pity or anything. Like I consciously keep my friend group very small, and I still didn't even have enough time to see those people. And you know, that's kind of sad. I mean, they all understood, but I would wake up at 7 a.m. and I would be working, selling, packing, shipping until about 2 a.m. and then I go to sleep and I do it again. The post office people, I swear to you, they counted down the days until I was leaving, because, you know, a lot of people who do that, they get a printer and, you know, they print their labels and just drop it off. And I was not doing that because the purpose was to offload everything. So why would I buy a printer if I wasn't gonna keep it? And so they were trying to convince me to buy a printer, but I was like, look guys, it doesn't make sense for me to buy a printer. I'm only here temporarily trying to get rid of this stuff. And so they, I think they were fine with me. I joke a little bit. Like we had like a mutual joking that they were ready for me to leave. But it was interesting, and now I've been back for a little while. Now that the weather is beautiful, just been really, I have not been doing a lot. I'm gonna be honest. My mom got knee surgery, so I'm taking care of her. And you know, I hang out with my dogs all day outside. Well, I have one dog, but my mom has 4. And I sometimes go help the neighbors. Yesterday, they needed help. They have a cow farm. They had to move their cows from their parents' house to the brother's house because the cows had eaten all the grass at their farm. So they had to trek them to the next farm so they would have more grass. I'll insert in, if I can figure it out, a video of all the cows. So literally, like, we got a group of people and we marched the cows to the next farm. It was about an hour walk to do that. So that is what goes on in my day. I think people get a little bit, they don't really understand the whole makeup thing, but that's okay. I like it. That's part of why I started the channel, because, you know, I do like wearing makeup. I just don't really have a reason to necessarily every day. When I say reason, like I don't have a job or anything. Obviously you don't need a reason to wear makeup, but it helps me if I have somewhat of a purpose. But I do have to say, I am pleasantly surprised by all of this. I don't think there's one thing that I don't like. My least favorite, if I had to quickly rank them, my least favorite would be this, just because, I mean, this is the shade Fair Lady. Yes. So I mean, it says shade 3. I don't know. I'd have to look at the shade range, but the contour is dark. I barely used any, and it was dark. And that's okay. That's just me not getting the right shade, because I know this is a Black owned brand. So it's not a complaint. I'm just saying that probably need a different shade in this. The highlight though, stunning. Love that. Let's just do a quick swatch. We'll do a swatch of the contour as well. So that's the highlight and that's the contour. It's not bad. It's just, I wouldn't even say it's dark. It's just pigmented, like, and it can be a little bit tough to blend out. And then my favorite thing, or at least what surprised me the most, is this powder, this Jouer powder, because I thought this was going to be really, really full coverage. I thought that because their foundation is just ultra full coverage. So I think it looks really nice. I do really like the foundation. Granted, it's a little bit dark. I'm not gonna like, it doesn't really, that's again, me not picking the right shade, but I'm a little disappointed now that that Bite's going out of business, because I think it looks really nice. I was kind of going for like a no makeup look, but I'm really digging this look. The eyeshadow palette, this Nude Pop one, amazing. I love it. I love like the cool purple tones. It goes perfectly with this. I like that a lot. The concealer, I mean, I can't really say I have that many opinions on it yet. It did cover my dark circles. I haven't been doing a lot here, but I haven't been sleeping very well. Got some pretty, I'm just deciding if I want to talk about it or not. I had some pretty shocking and just devastating news. One of my really, really close friends, he passed away from an overdose recently. He was sober for over 6 years, and he relapsed and died. And so it's been pretty hard for me. As someone who has family members who struggle with addiction, my heart goes out to his family, and I've just been having a hard time grieving with that. So I just haven't been sleeping a lot. And the concealer is covering up the dark circles, which is great. I did decide, I think that I will be including in all my videos just some links to drug use and safer drug use. I feel like I just go on all these tangent and rants, and I need to get better at collecting my thoughts a little bit more, or write a script or something. I don't do that. I just kind of go with what leads me. But, I do believe that we need to treat addiction, and we need to treat drug users with less punishment and more empathy. And, I don't care if you're going to use, I just care that you use safely. And anyone out there who's currently struggling with addiction, I hope that you have family members who feel the same way. I would much rather be sitting next to someone who's using and making sure that they're safe, they have clean needles, and I have proper medication in case something goes wrong, than continue to shame someone for using. And that's how all these deaths are happening, is due to shame and due to consequences and due to lack of resources to help people overcome that. And I just feel very strongly, again, I have family members who struggle with addiction, on just creating safer spaces for people who struggle. And I'll just be leaving links in the description box from now on to some organizations that provide clean syringes and just provide just equipment for people to be able to use safely. And the end goal is to just not lose a life. So going back to the makeup after my heavy soapbox topic, it makes me sad. What else did I use? This lipstick. So this is great. I'll swatch this for you too. It's not, can I say it's anything groundbreaking? No, but this is Nude Sheer. So this is what? This is shade 9. And it's one of the oil slick ones. So it comes in this. Honestly, like, I bought it for the packaging. Can you get this shade anywhere else? Yes, but I love it. I will probably continue to just use this. This is one that, like, I just feel really good on. And I don't know why, this smells like the just most delicious watermelon. I love this smell. I don't really like lipsticks that have that like vanilla cupcake scent. I know everyone always really likes that scent, and not me. I prefer, this is my favorite scent of any lipstick, is the YSL just watermelon scent. If you've ever smelled it, you know. Well, I do think that I've rambled enough, talked about enough topics, so I'm going to end the video. If there are more specific questions that maybe you want to know about me, I know I kept it pretty general, just talked about my travels throughout my life. Please leave them down in the comments. I'm happy to answer them. I'm really an open book to a certain degree. Like, there are some things that I'll probably still keep a little bit private, just so no one can find me, dox me, or anything like that, and show up at my house. The internet can sometimes be a scary place, so still be safe. I like to think the best of people, but you just never know. But for the most part, I'm happy to answer any kind of questions that you may have about me, if you have any, or we'll go from there. And then I will just keep a list for the next time that I do a chatty get ready with me. I hope you liked this. I hope it somewhat helped a little bit with makeup. I do think, I don't know, going back today, I am really liking everything. I think I need to practice like the contour. Like, it's showing up on camera, but in my mirror, I don't see it as much. So I don't know. We'll keep playing around. Next time, I promise I will do my hair, but it's Sunday Bunday. Is that a thing? I'm making it a thing now. So yeah, with that, thank you for watching. If you've made it this far, I know my videos can be a little bit longer. If you liked it, give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I do post videos on Sundays and Thursdays. That's gonna kind of be my schedule, at least for now. I was posting 3 times a week, but I think 2 times a week is gonna be a little bit more manageable for me go forward. That might change. And with that, I will see you all in my next video. Bye.